Story 01. The Trailman. Laughter in the Dark. I've never considered myself an athlete. I've jogged here and there, kept up with the occasional fitness trend, and even downloaded a few running apps, but that was the extent of it. Running was more a chore than a passion, something I did just enough to stay in shape and keep up the illusion of discipline. But my friend Jay? Jay was built different. Running was in his blood. He was the type of guy who woke up at 5 a.m. just to feel the road beneath his feet. He thrived on pushing himself and pushing others, too. Jay was the reason I kept trying. He believed in me more than I believed in myself. He'd show up unannounced at my apartment, tossing me an energy drink and yelling, "Let's go, lazy bones!" Even when I protested, he had a way of guilting me into lacing up my shoes. One Friday night, Jay came up with a new idea. "Let's switch things up," he said with a glint in his eye. "No more suburban sidewalks, let's run the forest trail." I hesitated. Everyone in town knew about that trail. It cut through the dense woods on the edge of town and was used mostly by hikers during the day. At night, though? It was a different story. Unlit, quiet. The kind of place that made people walk a little faster just passing by the entrance. "It'll be cool," Jay insisted. "The moon's out, the air's perfect, and we'll have it all to ourselves." Against my better judgment, I agreed. We set off just after 10 p.m. The entrance to the trail was marked by a crooked wooden sign and a narrow dirt path that disappeared into the trees. As soon as we stepped into the forest, the temperature seemed to drop. The canopy above was thick, allowing only slivers of moonlight to filter through, casting ghostly patterns on the ground. The trail was covered in dry leaves, pine needles, and the occasional root jutting up like a trap for careless feet. Every step made a soft crunch that echoed eerily in the stillness. No cars, no street lights, just the forest, our footsteps, and the occasional hoot of an owl in the distance. Jay was in high spirits. He teased me about my pace, called me a weekend warrior, and asked if I needed a stroller to keep up. I rolled my eyes but stayed quiet, focused on my breathing and trying not to trip. About 10 minutes in, something changed. At first, I thought it was just my imagination, but then I heard it again. Footsteps, not ours. These were behind us, faint, steady, deliberate. I turned to look. Nothing but shadows. I said nothing at first, thinking maybe it was an echo, but the sound continued, and it matched our pace exactly. I leaned toward Jay and whispered, "Do you hear that?" Jay's smile faded. He slowed down, listening. After a moment, he nodded. "Yeah, probably just another runner." "Out here? At night?" Jay didn't answer. We picked up the pace, and so did the footsteps behind us. The rhythm was uncanny. Whoever it was, they moved like a mirror. If we jogged faster, they did too. If we slowed, they followed suit. Always a few paces behind, always just out of sight. Jay finally called out, "Hey, who's there?" No answer, just the wind rustling the leaves overhead. We decided to take a detour into a small clearing up ahead, hoping to confront whoever was following us, or maybe lose them entirely. As we stepped into the open space, the moonlight bathed the clearing in a pale, cold glow. The trees around the edge stood like silent sentinels, watching. Then he appeared. He stepped out from between two massive oaks like a shadow, peeling away from the darkness. He was tall and thin, almost unnaturally so. He wore a torn black hoodie, the hood pulled low over his face. His pants were ripped, and his shoes looked ancient, caked in dried mud. Everything about him felt wrong. Jay raised a hand. "Hey, man, are you okay? You need help?" No reply. The man just tilted his head slightly, then let out a laugh. It was a horrible sound, low, crackling, completely devoid of humor. It was as if someone had learned to laugh by listening to recordings of people in pain, the kind of sound that didn't come from joy but from somewhere twisted and broken. I felt ice crawl down my spine. Jay took a step back. "All right, we're going." But the man stepped forward, just enough for the moonlight to catch his face. What I saw will never leave me. His skin was pale, almost gray, stretched too tight over sharp bones. His eyes were huge, wide and staring, filled with something manic and unhinged. His mouth curled into a grin so wide and unnatural it looked carved into his face. His teeth were yellowed and uneven, as if he hadn't closed his mouth in years. We didn't speak. We just ran. Faster than we'd ever run before. Our breath came in ragged gasps, adrenaline taking over. Behind us, we could still hear it, his footsteps, and worse, his laughter. It didn't fade. It followed us, weaving through the trees, always close, always just behind. At one point, I looked back and thought I saw his silhouette dart between the trees, impossibly fast, like he wasn't running but gliding just above the ground. Branches slapped at our faces, roots threatened to trip us, but we didn't stop. We couldn't. And then, like a miracle, we saw the glow of the streetlights ahead, the end of the trail. We burst out of the trees and onto the sidewalk, collapsing in a heap. I was shaking, gasping for air, heart pounding like a war drum. Jay stood there for a long moment, eyes wide, body frozen. He didn't say a word. Behind us, the trail was still. No footsteps, no laughter, just silence. We never went back to that trail, and we never spoke about what we saw. Not really. Not in full detail. But I know Jay remembers. I see it in his eyes every time we pass the edge of the woods. And sometimes, late at night, I think I still hear it. That laugh. Somewhere in the dark. Story Euro 2. The Silent Stalker, Running with Izzy. Running had always been my therapy, a ritual, a way to drain the static from my mind after long anxiety-ridden days, the kind of clarity I couldn't get from yoga or music or even talking to someone. Just me, my breath, the steady rhythm of my feet hitting the pavement, and the cool embrace of twilight. My favorite time to run was in the early evening, when the heat softened and the sky turned a watercolor blend of pink, lavender, and soft gold. That was when the world slowed down, fewer cars, quieter streets, and a stillness that seemed to settle over everything like a sigh of relief. Izzy wasn't mine. She belonged to Mrs. Clark, the elderly widow 2 doors down, a spirited golden retriever with boundless energy and a heart too big for her furry chest. When Mrs. Clark had to leave town for 2 weeks to visit her sister, she asked if I could take care of Izzy. Walks, food, companionship. I agreed without hesitation. Izzy had a way of making even the gloomiest day feel lighter. Running with Izzy was like being tied to a small rocket. She pulled hard, chasing after every rustle in the bushes, every shadow on the sidewalk. Her joy was infectious, and honestly, she made me faster. That evening started like any other. The sun was dipping behind the trees, casting long shadows across the pavement. The air was damp, heavy with the scent of pine, moss, and earth, still wet from yesterday's rain. The old path by the woods and the cemetery had become our usual route, a little eerie, sure, but quiet and peaceful. Izzy trotted ahead, tongue lolling, tail wagging with unfiltered enthusiasm. I smiled, loosening up my stride, breathing in the chilled evening air. Then she stopped, dead still. No barking, no sniffing, just silence. Her body tensed like a drawn bow, ears pricked forward, head low, eyes locked on the trees. I followed her gaze. At first I didn't see anything, just trees, shadows, the faint shimmer of dusk. Then my eyes adjusted, and I saw him. A man. Or at least I think it was a man. He stood between 2 thick trees, barely visible, half consumed by shadow. His coat was thick, too thick for a warm evening in early summer, long, tattered, maybe wool. The collar turned up, his face half hidden, but his eyes gleamed, not in a curious or confused way, but cold, calculated, fixed right on me. He didn't move. He didn't say a word. He simply watched. My throat tightened. I told myself he was harmless. Maybe just a hiker lost in thought or someone cutting through the woods. But something about him was off. Wrong. Like he didn't belong in this world. Izzy's soft growl rose from deep in her throat, her body pressing protectively against my leg. Then he moved. But it wasn't natural. Not like someone stepping forward or adjusting their stance. His limbs twitched, spasmed. His whole body jerked forward in broken, abrupt motions, like a puppet on strings being tugged the wrong way. And despite the dead leaves and twigs littering the forest floor, he made no sound, no footsteps, no rustling, just silence. Then, from beneath his coat, he pulled something out. A butcher's cleaver. Old, rusted at the edges but still gleaming with sharp menace in the fading light. My stomach dropped. Panic surged. "Come on, Izzy," I whispered, voice trembling. We turned and ran. My feet pounded against the gravel path, heart slamming so hard it hurt. Izzy was right by my side, no longer pulling, just sprinting with me, perfectly in sync. I didn't dare look back at first. I couldn't. I was too afraid that if I did, I'd see him right behind me, arms outstretched, cleaver swinging. But instinct is cruel, and eventually I glanced over my shoulder. He was chasing us, still silent, still in that horrible, stuttering gait. His arms moved like they were dislocated, hands too loose, too limp. His face was shrouded, but I could feel his stare burning into my spine. The trail forked. One side led deeper into the woods. The other toward a maintenance shed I remembered from childhood, back when the area was still part of a public park. I veered right, dragging Izzy with me. We stumbled through overgrown grass and tangled roots, finally ducking behind the old shed. My chest burned. My lungs felt like they were tearing apart. I crouched, one hand clamped over Izzy's collar, the other pressed to my ribs. My ears strained for sound. Nothing. Not even his twisted footsteps. I peeked out. There he was, standing perfectly still beneath a flickering streetlight at the end of the path. His cleaver dangled at his side. He didn't move, didn't breathe. He just watched. The light buzzed above him, cutting in and out like it couldn't decide whether to stay on. It made him look like a glitch in the world, like something that had stepped out of a nightmare and into our reality by mistake. Then, headlights. A car approached from the nearby road, engine humming in the distance. Its lights spilled across the path, cutting through the shadows. And just like that, he was gone. Vanished into the trees as if he'd never been there. I stayed crouched behind the shed until I was sure the car had passed. Only then did I stand, trembling, and make my way back to the neighborhood. Izzy stayed close, ears still alert, tail low. We didn't run home. We walked, fast, looking over our shoulders the whole way. When we got to my house, I locked every door, every window. I didn't sleep that night. Neither did Izzy. She lay by the front door, ears twitching, nose in the air, growling every now and then. I never ran that path again. Sometimes, even now, when the sun sets and the wind rustles through the trees, I think about him. And I wonder if he's still out there, waiting, silent, watching. Story 03. The White SUV, Suburban Hunt. I grew up in one of those quiet neighborhoods surrounded by farmland and long, empty roads. The kind of place where people left their doors unlocked, kids played until sunset, and anything dangerous was something that happened somewhere else. But that illusion shattered. The first time I saw the white SUV, I was 9 years old. It was a regular afternoon, and my older brother and I were walking our dogs near the local park. The sky was glowing orange from the sunset, and the air smelled of cut grass and damp soil. Everything felt peaceful until that vehicle showed up. A white SUV turned the corner and started slowly creeping toward us. It moved way too slowly, not like someone looking for a house, not like someone who belonged there. The car stopped right next to us. The window rolled down with a soft electric hum, and there he was. A man with curly blonde hair, pale skin, and sharp blue eyes. His smile was wide, but it wasn't warm. It was calculated, cold. "Hey there," he said. "You kids need a ride?" My brother took a step forward, curious. But something in me screamed. My stomach dropped. Every instinct in my body told me this wasn't right. I grabbed my brother's arm hard and ran, dogs barking, hearts pounding. When we got home, my mom tried to calm us down. She said maybe he was lost, maybe he just needed directions. But I knew. That smile wasn't confused. It was predatory. The sightings didn't stop. On Halloween night, a black car without plates began circling the neighborhood. At first, people thought it was a prank or a late parent picking up their kid, until the driver tried to follow a group of trick-or-treaters. Some parents confronted the car near the cul-de-sac. They shouted, demanded answers. The car swerved toward them, nearly hitting someone before peeling off. The police were called. No leads, no plate, nothing. After that, whispers started. Kids claimed to see the same white SUV parked on dark streets, engine idling, headlights off. Some said they saw the man inside, watching, always watching. And deep down, I knew this wasn't just a neighborhood tale. This was real. In 2018, I was house-sitting at the far end of our street, right next to the woods. One night, around 11 p.m., I looked out the window. There it was. A black car, parked silently halfway down the block. Engine off, no movement, no lights. Just waiting. I turned off the lights, locked every door, and watched from behind the curtains. Then the car door opened. I didn't wait. I grabbed the dog, my phone, and ran out the back into the trees. No flashlight, just fear and instinct. I ran until I reached a gas station in the next neighborhood and called the police from the bathroom. When they checked the street, nothing. No car, no tire marks. No one had seen anything. But I knew what I saw. Then came 2020. The world was still, quiet. Streets were empty. Life was paused. That's when the white SUV came back. At first, it seemed like paranoia. I'd go for a run and catch a glimpse, parked at a distance. Next day, closer. Then it would start following me, slowly, casually. Every route I took, it was there. For 10 days, I felt hunted. On the 11th, I made a mistake. I turned down a street I didn't recognize. My music was loud, my head was distracted. It was a dead end. And at the end of the road, someone was waiting. Crouched near a hedge, partially hidden under a flickering streetlight, was a man. Tall, curly blonde hair, the same man from all those years ago. And behind me, the white SUV pulled in, blocking the only way out. My throat closed. My heart exploded in my chest. I ran. I darted through someone's yard, leaped over a fence, crashed through bushes, and didn't stop running until I was back on a main road. People were outside, streetlights, safety. I reported it all, again. But the police found nothing. No SUV, no man, no footage, like he was never there. But he was. He's still out there, because that white SUV wasn't just a car. It was a trap, a tool in the hunt. And I was the prey. If this story gave you chills, tap that like button to show you love real suspense. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more terrifying stories, real accounts, and psychological horror that sticks with you. Comment below. Have you ever felt like you were being followed? Ever had a close call? Tell your story. We're listening. Share this with a friend. And never let your guard down during a nighttime run. Next time you hear an engine humming behind you, don't look back. It might be the white SUV.